Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are going to deconstruct a genre that I think everyone assumes they know all about, but very few people actually examine it closely.
Right, yeah.
And I mean romance, but I don't mean the history of the genre or, reading down the bestsellers list. I mean the actual mechanics of how we believe human connection works.
The nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly. Usually when we talk about literary romance, we pivot to a very specific, almost sanitized aesthetic. You know the drill. It's candlelight, poetry, the long, meaningful gaze across a crowded ballroom.
Oh, absolutely. The romance industrial complex.
Yes, the romance industrial complex.
It's just a template. I mean, it's comfortable, it's highly marketable, and it usually involves a whole lot of silence, intense staring, and people who just seem to have unlimited free time.
So much free time.
It's the soft focus version of love.
It is. But today,
Yeah.
we're throwing that soft focus entirely out the window. We're trading the roses for joystick duels. We're swapping out the ballroom for the harsh, buzzing fluorescent lights of a tennis court.
A sweaty tennis court at that.
Yeah, we're looking at a story that argues love is actually found in, well, healing potions, sweaty drills, and accidentally smashing things.
Which, if we were being totally honest, is a much more accurate reflection of modern relationships than a duel at dawn or, a sonnet read under a balcony.
Right.
Real relationships are messy. They're loud. They often involve arguing over who gets to hold the remote.
Exactly. So today we are unpacking a short story titled Level Up Love. And it's from a collection called Whispers of the Shape of Love by the author Abdullah Al-Khalifa. Now, this book is fascinating because Al-Khalifa is generally known for focusing on whispers, like those quiet, unspoken, almost fragile moments of connection. But this specific story takes a very loud, high-energy route to get there.
And that's really the mission of this deep dive today. We aren't just here to retell a cute story for you. We want to explore the psychology of compatibility. We're looking at how opposites attract isn't just about friction. It's about what psychologists might call competence signaling and also shared vulnerability. We have a literal case study here of two complete opposites finding a rhythm between match points and multiplayer rounds.
I really like that term, competence signaling. It sounds way more impressive than just, showing off.
Oh, it's totally showing off, but with a degree.
Right. We will come back to that. But first, we have to look at the philosophy underpinning all of this. Al-Khalifa writes that true connection is felt, not forced. But in this story, he tests that theory in a really high-pressure environment.
He really does.
So let's meet the test subjects for you guys. First up, we have Nora.
Nora is, well, she's a lot. And I mean that in the best possible way. She takes up space.
She is an absolute force of nature. Nora is a semi-pro tennis player, and the text makes it very clear she is not your average athlete who's just going through the motions.
Oh.
She has this fierce backhand and infectious laugh, and this is a critical detail that I think completely defines her character. She has a habit of yelling boom after every single winning shot.
Which tells you something about her psychology immediately.
Right.
She externalizes victory. She wants the world to know she's there. She isn't apologizing for winning. She's practically announcing it.
She does. And she explicitly has this aversion to anything dull. She wants life to be loud and exciting. She's looking for kinetic energy. I feel like if life were a movie, she'd be the explosion in the background.
Exactly. Which makes her the absolute perfect foil for our other player, Khalid. Now, Khalid presents a duality that is incredibly relevant to the digital age we live in. To the public, he is Falcon Fire.
Falcon Fire.
Yeah, he's a nationally ranked video game streamer. On screen, he is an unstoppable force. He's confident, commanding, aggressive. He's a digital warlord, basically.
But that's just the avatar, right? That's the pixels. What's the reality behind the screen?
Off screen, the reality is the total inverse. The text describes him as slightly awkward. He wears glasses. He practically lives in his hoodies. He's calm, maybe a bit shy. It's a classic example of what researchers call the Proteus effect.
The Proteus effect. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. It's a concept in virtual behavior where an individual's behavior within a virtual world is actually changed by the characteristics of their avatar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so when Khalid is Falcon Fire, he adopts the traits he associates with that powerful persona. But when he logs off, the armor comes off. He returns to being the quiet guy in the hoodie who's just trying not to be noticed.
So you have the unstoppable force on the screen versus the physical force on the court. It's the jock versus nerd trope, but completely modernized for the Twitch generation.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. Usually in these types of stories, the narrative keeps them apart until the very end. Or they meet online first without knowing who the other is. But this story crashes them together immediately in the real world.
And crashes is literal here. Let's set the scene for the Meet Cute. It's a charity fundraiser designed for kids who love both sports and gaming. So they have these distinct zones. Nora is leading a tennis clinic, sweating, moving around. Khalid is setting up a Mario Kart booth, dealing with cables and screens.
Two completely different worlds, right side by side. Physical sport versus e-sport, cardio versus connectivity.
And then physics intervenes.
Yeah.
The text describes it as a hilarious turn of events. Nora, presumably in the middle of one of her boom moments, accidentally shanks a tennis ball right into Khalid's booth.
And not just once, right? Because once is an accident, twice is a pattern.
Twice. She hits his booth twice. Now, I mean, put yourself in Khalid's shoes for a second.
I would be terrified.
Right. You're setting up your really expensive electronic equipment, monitors, consoles. You're already socially anxious. You're totally out of your digital element. And suddenly you are under aerial bombardment from a semi-pro athlete.
Most people would just snap. Or they'd retreat, like they'd pack up and leave, or they'd start screaming.
Exactly. But this is where we get the very first real insight into their compatibility. A lesser story would make this a slapstick apology scene or a huge dramatic argument. But look at the dialogue. Khalid just dusts off his monitor and says, "You're either aiming for me or you really need to work on your aim."
That is surprisingly dry for a guy who's described as shy. That's actually pretty bold.
It is bold. It's dry wit. It's a defense mechanism, sure, but it's also an invitation. He's engaging in a status transaction. He didn't lower his status by getting angry and losing control. He leveled the playing field with humor.
Right.
He's basically saying, I see you, and I am not intimidated. And Nora, she doesn't apologize profusely. She just smirks and says, maybe both.
That interaction is so pivotal. It moves from annoyance to banter instantly. Psychologically speaking, they just completely bypassed the polite stranger phase and went straight to playful combatants.
It's what relationship researcher John Gottman would call a successful repair attempt happening in real time before a relationship even exists.
Yeah.
They turned a potential conflict, literal property damage, into a connection.
Yeah.
If he had sulked or if she'd been overly defensive, the story just ends right there. The ball hits the screen, fade to black. But they chose to play.
So they've established that they can banter, but bantering is easy. Anyone can be witty for 5 minutes. Building a bond is much harder. The story then moves them into this phase where they start leveling up the connection. They keep running into each other at mutual events. But there is one specific detail I want to focus on because it feels so culturally specific yet universal at the same time. They start meeting up at a falafel stand at 2 a.m.
The universal sanctuary.
Exactly. But why is that specific setting so important? Like, why not a coffee shop at noon?
Well, think about the timing for both of them. You've got the gamer who is up all night streaming, so his circadian rhythm is totally shifted. And you have the athlete who is maybe winding down from late training sessions or travel.
Makes sense.
So the 2 a.m. falafel stand acts as a third place.
A third place.
Yeah, it's a sociological term coined by Ray Oldenburg. Your first place is home. Your second place is work. The third place is the anchor of community life. It's where you relax, where status doesn't matter.
Okay, I see.
At 2 a.m., under the harsh fluorescent lights of a falafel stand, nobody cares if you're a nationally ranked gamer or a semi-pro tennis player. You're just two hungry people. It's this liminal space where social hierarchies just fall away entirely. It allows for raw authenticity.
And that is exactly where the skill swapping starts. This is a classic trope, but I think it's executed with a really great twist here. Khalid introduces her to speed running. Now, for any of you listeners who might not be gamers, speed running is trying to finish a game as fast as humanly possible, right?
Right, but it's not just playing a game, it's optimizing it. It's about muscle memory, frame-perfect timing, and endless repetition. It is arguably the most athletic way to play a video game.
That's a great way to put it.
So for Nora, who is literally obsessed with drilling her backhand until it's perfect, speedrunning isn't just gaming. It's just another form of drilling. It's absolute catnip for her competitive brain. She understands the grind.
That makes perfect sense. It bridges the gap, it translates his world into her language, but then she drags him into her world. She has him doing physical tennis drills. And the text says it left him breathless, sore, yet laughing.
And that yet laughing is the key variable there.
Yeah.
He is physically suffering. He's totally out of his element. He probably looks uncoordinated compared to her. But he's enjoying the shared vulnerability. He's allowing himself to look foolish in front of her, which is a massive sign of trust.
Oh, definitely.
He's stepping out from behind the Falcon Fire avatar and just being Khalid, the country tennis student.
And their digital communication really reinforces this dynamic, too. There's a text exchange the source material highlights that I think perfectly captures this. Nora texts him, "Just beat my coach today. Thinking about retiring early and opening a shawarma stand."
Which is classic deflection. She's proud, she just won a really big match, but she's joking to avoid sounding arrogant. She's downplaying the achievement.
And Khalid's response is just perfect. He doesn't just say, "Good job" or "Congrats." He texts back, "As long as there's Wi-Fi at the shawarma stand, I'll support your dream."
See, that is improvisational support.
Yes.
In improv comedy, the rule is yes and. He's accepting her premise, the shawarma stand,
Yeah.
and adding to it the Wi-Fi. He's validating her joke, playing along with the scenario, but implicitly saying, "I will be there with you," even if it's just at a hypothetical late-night shawarma stand.
Right.
It's a bid for connection, and he returns it with interest.
The source also mentions that Nora adored how he could turn a game like Overwatch into something poetic, while he was totally captivated by her vibrant energy. They aren't trying to change each other at all. They're spectating each other's lives with admiration.
Which brings us directly to the climax of the story. The moment where this admiration gets stress tested. Because let's face it, it's easy to admire someone when you're eating falafel or texting jokes. It's a lot harder when you're losing.
Enter the couples game tennis tournament.
A quirky and, frankly, somewhat sadistic competition.
Totally sadistic. It's a mix of mixed doubles tennis combined with co-op video games. I mean, it sounds like a recipe for a breakup. I feel like psychologists designed this just to watch couples implode in real time.
Oh, it's absolutely a stress test. You have physical coordination on the court, where Nora is the expert and Khalid is the novice,
Right.
and then cognitive coordination on the screen, where Khalid is the god and Nora is the amateur.
So they enter this tournament, and on paper, they are the dream team. Semi-pro tennis player, nationally ranked gamer. They should annihilate everyone. They cover both bases completely.
But reality is rarely that linear. The text says initially, they struggled, and we need to look at why. Nora got overly competitive. She tried to solo the tennis, basically ignoring him. And Khalid got flustered. He retreated into his shell when the pressure mounted.
The chaos described here is palpable. Controllers were tossed. Rackets were thrown. They are actively bickering over who snatched the healing potion. Now, for the non-gamers listening, explain the significance of fighting over a healing potion. Why is that such a massive flashpoint?
Well, in a co-op game, a healing potion is a highly scarce resource. If I take it, you don't have it.
Right.
So fighting over it is essentially arguing, my survival is more important than yours right now, or I don't trust you to stay alive, so I'm taking this. It's a proxy argument for selfishness versus altruism. It cuts deep.
That is deep. So when they're yelling about digital potions, they're actually yelling about trust.
Precisely.
And the insults. They get so personal, he calls her a button masher.
Which, to a gamer, is the ultimate insult. It's an accusation of being mindless. It means you have absolutely no strategy. You're just panicking and hitting things, hoping it works. It's calling her chaotic.
And she counters by calling him tennis-phobic.
Right, attacking his physical courage.
Yeah.
They're aiming straight for the insecurities.
It's getting really ugly. But here's the turning point of the story. Amidst the tossing of controllers and the yelling, the text says, they laughed so hard they could hardly breathe. Why? Why do they laugh instead of fighting? Why didn't they just walk away?
Because they recognize the absurdity of it all. This is the core takeaway right here. Resilience in a relationship isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about the speed of recovery.
Speed of recovery.
Yeah. They broke the tension by realizing we look ridiculous. We are adults screaming about a digital potion and a yellow ball. They weren't connecting because they were playing perfectly. They were connecting because they were failing together and finding it hilarious. The relationship solidified not in perfection, but in shared chaos.
And despite the chaos, or maybe because the laughter loosened them up and got them out of their own heads, they won. Just barely, the story notes, but they won.
Which leads us to the award ceremony.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the visual the author gives us here. They are standing there holding these plastic trophies that look like ping pong paddles and PlayStation controllers.
It's tacky, it's kitschy, it's barely even a prize.
It is. But this is where the tone shifts. We go from the high energy of the tournament to that signature quiet moment Abdullah al-Khalifa is famous for. Khalid turns to her and says, I think we make a great team. even when we're not so great.
That is a very loaded sentence, even when we're not so great.
It's pure acceptance. He's acknowledging the mess. He's acknowledging the bickering over the potion and the thrown rackets. He's saying, I see the flaws in our dynamic. I see the friction, and I am not running away. He's signing up for the bad games as well as the high scores.
And Nora's response. She's glowing from the victory, obviously, but also something deeper. She looks at him and says, "You're not so bad for a nerd."
A playful jab, a callback to their differences. She's maintaining that banter.
And Khalid Falconfire himself quips back, half serious, "I'm your nerd."
And here's the real insight of this deep dive. The text explicitly says, and she chose not to correct him.
Silence speaks volumes.
It really does. In a story full of boom, shouts, and video game sound effects, the absolute most important line is the one she didn't say. By not correcting him, she accepted the possessive, she accepted the label, she accepted him. That is the whisper in whispers of The Shape of Love.
I love that interpretation. It's the realization that you belong to someone without needing a grand monologue. It's efficient.
Precisely. It's inefficient to have a long, drawn-out conversation about feelings when a simple silence does the job better. And remember, in both tennis and gaming, efficiency wins.
So let's jump forward a bit. The story gives us a glimpse of the aftermath. 1 year later, what are Nora and Khalid up to?
They are fully integrated. They are co-hosting a charity stream featuring tennis challenges and gaming showdowns. They have basically turned their differences into a brand.
And the fans. They've dubbed them Team Boomfire.
Which is a perfect portmanteau. It takes her catchphrase, boom, and his gamer tag, Falconfire. Boomfire. It represents their union linguistically. It sounds like a superhero team.
It's so catchy. I would definitely watch that stream. But the moral the story draws from this is definitely worth highlighting. The text summarizes it beautifully. Love manifests through inside jokes about healing potions, not just romance. It reinforces that being part of a team is vastly more rewarding than winning solo.
It keeps you agile. That's the exact phrase the book uses. Love keeps you agile.
Which is a really great way to put it. You have to react, you have to adapt, just like in a game or a tennis match. You can't just run a pre-written script.
Exactly. If you stick to a script like that candlelight dinner script we talked about at the very beginning, you fail when life throws a tennis ball at your monitor, or when the server crashes. Agility is the only way to survive a long-term relationship. You have to be able to pivot.
So we've unpacked the story of Nora and Khalid, but I want to zoom out just a bit before we wrap up. We've mentioned the book Whispers of the Shape of Love and the author Abdullah Al-Khalifa. How does this really loud, energetic story fit into a collection about whispers? Because on the surface, it seems like a contradiction.
It is a deliberate contradiction.
Yeah.
It's all about the signal-to-noise ratio.
Okay.
On the surface level up, love is noisy. It has crowds, video games, loud tennis impacts, yelling. But if you look at the author's broader philosophy, it fits perfectly. Abdullah Al-Khalifa writes from the perspective that love doesn't always live in big declarations. He believes love exists in presence and the space between two people who simply understand each other.
So the noise is just the backdrop.
The noise is the distraction. The love is the signal cutting through the noise. The comfort they feel at that falafel stand at 2 a.m. That's quiet. The moment she doesn't correct him when he says, "I'm your nerd," that's a whisper. It's actually louder because of the noise surrounding it.
That's beautiful. The author suggests that stories like this and books like this aren't written to impress the reader with fancy prose or massive dramatic twists. They are written to understand that human connection is messy, it's funny, and it's deeply personal.
Felt, not forced. That is a core tenet here. Khalid and Nora didn't force themselves to change. He didn't magically become a jock. She didn't become a pro gamer. They stayed themselves nerdy and fierce, and they just found a way to fit those pieces together.
That is such a refreshing take. Often in romance, you see the makeover trope where one person completely changes for the other. Usually the nerd taking off the glasses, right? Like, oh, look, she was beautiful all along. But here, they collaborated.
They played co-op.
They played co-op. That is the takeaway.
And that's what makes Teen Boomfire such a compelling ending. They aren't just lovers, they are teammates. And in the long run, whether you're navigating a difficult boss fight in the game or a really difficult patch in life like a mortgage or a health scare or losing a job, you don't want a suitor. You don't want a poet. You want a teammate.
Absolutely. You want someone who will pass you the healing potion, even if they call you a button masher while they're doing it.
Especially if they call you a button masher. That means they're actually paying attention to your technique. They care enough to critique your gameplay.
So true. Well, we're coming to the end of our deep dive into Level Up Love. It's a great reminder that romance is agility, it's humor, And it's finding your rhythm with someone else.
And it's a reminder that love lingers. It waits. And sometimes it changes us softly, even amidst the absolute noise of a tennis tournament. It sneaks up on you at the falafel stand.
If this conversation sparks something for you, if you're out there thinking, hey, I want more stories about emotional connections that feel honest and real, you really should check out the full collection.
Yes, the book is Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah Al-Khalifa. It's available right now as an ebook on Amazon Kindle. It's a collection of short stories so you can easily dip in and out.
Perfect for your commute or, while you're waiting for your turn at the shawarma stand.
Exactly. Read it at your own pace. There is no speed run required for reading.
Before we sign off, though, we always like to leave you with something to think about, a little homework for the heart.
We often look for love that fits a really conventional mold. We have a checklist. They must be this tall, must have this job, must like this exact music.
The dreaded checklist, the absolute enemy of romance.
But here's the question I want you to carry with you today. Is it possible that your perfect match isn't the person who ticks every single box on your list, but is actually the person who makes you laugh while you're arguing over a healing potion?
Think about who that person is for you. Who is your nerd? Or who's your fierce tennis player?
And if you haven't found them yet, maybe check the falafel stand at 2 a.m.
You never know. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.